Governor, welcome and congratulations. We've reached the regrettable point that we often do in the Senate where almost everything has been said, but not everyone has said it. I will refrain from saying a lot of what's gone before me, but I will say for the record that I want to associate myself with the comments of my Republican colleagues about the need for significantly increasing energy production while also being responsible stewards of our public lands and waters. There is, however, one issue I don't think has been discussed yet under the Endangered Species Act. And I think it's a scandal of the first order. I'm surprised it hasn't gotten more attention as of late. On January 3rd, the New York Times published a story about the so-called snail darter. It was a species that was designated as endangered by Fish and Wildlife back in the 1970s. The entire thrust of the story is that a zoologist basically made up this species of snail darter, all for the point of halting construction of the Tellico Dam on the Little Tennessee River. After many years of delay, it finally took an act of Congress to build that dam. An academic citing that article said that this is a not uncommon practice creating new species when there's really no difference between other extant non-endangered species for what he called the downstream conservation implications, which is to say activists creating species, calling them endangered to stop the construction of a dam or a power generation plant or a housing development. And again, this is something that was admitted publicly in the New York Times by some of these activists. That's why I say I think it's a scandal of the first order. Could I get your commitment in light of these admissions to go back and re-examine Endangered Species Act listings and identify any other potential false designations?
Senator Cotton, you raise a very important issue, which is the weaponization of federal rules, meant to actually protect wildlife, but to do it in a way where it's being used not to protect wildlife, but it's being used to stop legal activities like the multiple use scenario we were just talking about with Senator Barrasso. It's just a legal weapon, and it's used for fundraising. It's used for groups that are just trying to block our nation's progress. And so I agree with you completely. And you mentioned the New York Times. If that article was someplace else, but the fact that the New York Times wrote that article, I found to also be remarkable admission of at least one case where there was the abuse of the Endangered Species Act relative to its intended use. So yes, you can count, absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because also I think not in light just of this public admission, but also the West Virginia case and the Loper-Bright case, there could be legal infirmity in a lot of our federal bureaucracy's past decisions. So I appreciate your willingness to take a look at that once you're on the job. Thank you very much.